Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus, and this is Romesh Shivastu. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, thought leaders, and business heads. Today, we will try to dive deep positive work culture. We will try to understand what is the positive work culture. We will try to understand what is the cultural intelligence, what is the positivity intelligence, what is the emotional, what is the role of emotional intelligence here, and what are the key elements of the positive work culture. We have two senior HR leaders. Let me welcome Dr. Sanjeev Dixit, is Chief Human Resource Officer at Jindal Shredded Iron and Steel. He's also the author of a book that is Plan C, and this book talks about building and sustaining a high performance culture. Another eminent HR leader is Ms. Seema Bangia. She is a former Vice President and Chief People Officer of Aero and Defense Division of Mahindra and Mahindra. So, welcome both of you.
Thank you, Romesh, for having me.
So
Thank you so
without
much for
beating
inviting me
around the
as
bush,
well.
first my straight question that would be for both of you, that what is the positive work culture and what are the key elements of positive work culture? Any of you can respond first, please.
So,
You want to
ladies
pick first?
first.
Oh, okay. All right. You still follow that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you asking about the work culture and positive work culture, right, Ramesh? Now, where does first the question comes? Where does this culture comes from? Right? Is it top driven, bottom up, or it is some external entity which comes into the organization? So, in fact, I have also done a lot of research, and even in one of my books, which I've written, we did talk about culture. And what I found out, this is my personal research and experience, that most of the time it is top driven, the culture, right? And now you're talking about the positive. So, we'll discuss culture maybe in a bit later. Positive work culture is about your how your day to day you are managing your team, motivating your team, how you're engaging with them, how do you respond to any adversity. Let's say if some employee makes a mistake, now as a leader, as a manager, how do you respond? Do you respond or do you react? So it's all about uh, small things, day to day things, your behavior, which comes as a larger state as a positive work culture or not so positive work culture.
Yeah, Dr. Sanjeev, what is your take on this?
I think building on what Seema mentioned, uh, culture is, I will say, one of the most used but abused term within the organization and enterprise because generally culture we refer to the kind of work environment which is prevalent in the organization or pertaining to the kind of work practices which is being you can say followed. Culture is much more beyond that. It is primarily the role modeling of the values oriented behavior by the most influential people in the organization or the enterprise. Who are those most influential people? Are mostly your senior leaders, your CXOs. Now, the way they demonstrate those core values in their action inspire the team down below. Now, the more they walk the talk, more there is I will say, highly engaged and inspired workforce down below. Now, that is where I will say the positivity comes from. And that makes the entire work culture very inspiring, very motivational, very engaging. People feel like coming every day to the workplace with a thought that today I will have huge amount of opportunity to innovate. I will have a lot of encouragement from my team member and my manager to you can say experiment with new ideas. And at the end of the day, I will feel very value added in terms of the learnings, in terms of the exposure I would be getting. So I think that kind of a magnetic work environment resulting out of the kind of inspirational role modeling of the entire senior leadership is, in my way, term is the positive work culture. And there are so many examples we can connect with our current and previous experiences. There has been, you can say, places where you don't feel like going. You have always those Monday blues, or rather in the entire week blues, not to go there because you have those toxicity in the way your manager or your leaders are, you can say, engaging with the employees on a regular basis. Now, the opposite of toxicity is positivity. So, high time that the leader should move towards uh, ensuring that when they're engaging with the young gen, especially the new gen, what we're talking about, they are looking for environment which is very informal, very, as I said, productive, experimental, innovative, and at the end of the day, fulfilling. These are some of the ingredients of, in my view, positive work culture.
So positive work culture does not mean all the employees are happy all the time, they're cheerful. Might be that is there would be, of course, there would be challenges for at the workplace, but how you deal with the challenges, how you get that
Certainly.
resilience, how you get that perseverance, that is very important. So this is
Absolutely.
what gives you the positive work culture. When we have any new person in organization, and when that person joins the organization, so that person is not coming only with the skill set. That person is also bringing some of the elements of the culture of previous organization. What is the belief, what is the values of that individual? So during the hiring, because hiring is also the foundation of culture, so during the hiring, how we can see, how we can assess the positivity intelligence, or you can say positivity quotient in individual. So Seema, how would like to respond on this?
See, there are various ways, and you rightly said, culture fit is, to me, is more critical than skill set fit, than your past experience fit. Of course, they matter. Past experience matter, your skill set matter, and that's why you have reached the interview stage, right? When you cleared all your through your resume, through your profile. Now, when it comes to interview, I generally use a lot of situational kind of interview questions, and basically to see how the incumbent responded, not reacted, responded during that particular instance. And from there, we gauge the positivity quotient. I'm using the word quotient here, which is very important, like any other quotient. So to me, that the mindset, the culture fit is more important than any other aspect. Again, this is my individual viewpoint here. And also, during the interview, also people sometimes they try to, in order to impress the interviewer, they try to throw so many examples, throw many situations. Oh, I did that, I did this, this is how I responded. But that innate positivity, that quotient comes out, And I'm not saying we are 100% positive or 100% successful in recruiting the right culture fit. Of course, there is maybe 1%, 2% chances are there where we do wrong culture fit. But then, of course, we have to pay for it later. So this is how I would respond to this.
And Dr. Sanjeev, how do you would you like to add here something? And how do you see positivity intelligence? How do you see the cultural intelligence when we look for this?
Talent acquisition process is one of the most important part of building a culture within the organization, because the kind of intake you have in terms of the set of values and set of beliefs with which whom you're taking the talent. I think that has to do with uh, the vision which you have for the organization from a culture perspective. What kind of culture you want to create? Now, yeah, the culture fit is one of the, I think, very significant element, as Seema mentioned, as part of the hiring. Now, culture fit means what? Now, culture fit means similar kind of values and belief people coming into the organization, or there is a diversity of belief and values which needs to be brought into the organization. In my view, culture fit also means the culture diversity. Why? Because if you bring only one set of people with one set of belief, with the one set of values, I don't think there will be any scenario in the organization where there is I will say, challenging each other in terms of bringing new perspectives and new ideas. If you have a culture diversity, it will definitely enable you to uh, appreciate the differences and try to find a synergy from the context of achieving the common goal for the organization. So while hiring, what we are seeing that, okay, what are some of the non-negotiable, say, values or behaviors, and some of the behavior which will add on to the overall diversity coefficient of your organization. And more we bring culture diversity, I think the sustainability of that enterprise and the overall growth of that enterprise in today's what you call balmy world, I think would be much more, I will say, ensured in terms of having talent which are more agile, more resilient, more hungry, more humble, and at the same time, they have the high and extreme ownership about the way they want to achieve the goal of the organization.
Absolutely. Can I also add on something to this,
Yeah,
Ramesh?
please. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think what you said is perfect because you need diversity in all dimensions, be it the culture. But when it comes to the value diversity, there where I may, be very careful because value fit, your belief fit, your ethos fit, I don't think there is any compromise on that, right? Culture fit, yes, as long as your mindset is positive towards, accepting no limits or driving positive change. So that's what I would call it as positive work culture fit.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. That is, we cannot compromise on that. First is the hiring stage. Second, sometimes we also need to transform the culture, positive work culture within the organization. So how do you see what are the challenges generally HR leaders? Though I understand that this is not only the responsibility of HR leaders, but this is the everyone's responsibility. But generally, the HR leaders take the initiative. So what the challenges they face here?
So I think more than challenges, I see this as one of the breakthrough which the HR leader needs to anchor. Why? Because not because that he is the expert in the entire culture evolution or transformation area, but primarily his role is to sensitize the stakeholder and specifically the senior leadership from the context of the importance and significance of why culture is critical for the execution and effective outcome achievement from all these strategies and plans and business, you can say, risk management framework which has been created. They give you the desired yield and output. So ultimately, blending the overall business growth strategy with the kind of relevant behavior which needs to be role model by the senior leadership and the board is the starting point of any, I will say, culture intelligence improvement exercise is concerned. And I think it's not a, I will say, one-time exercise or a kind of a time-bound exercise. It's an exercise which depends on at what stage your organization is, at what stage your senior leadership is in terms of whether they really value the entire significance and importance of building on these something which is seen as very fuzzy which is called culture. Because generally the view is, oh, we have a great culture, what we need to improve upon. Let's more focus on the 5 years business strategy or 3-year business strategy, and let's have a risk mitigation plan which ensure that we always have a backup. The problem lies in, again, appreciating the fact that the organization growth in most of the, you can say, whether you benchmark the competition or any other relevant, you can say, reference point, the entire culture element is the differentiator between a good organization to a great organization, or a very successful organization to a not so successful organization. I think that's where when the HR or the I will say the entire the senior culture champion in the organization onboard the senior leadership to take this agenda as one of their priority, I think that's where the entire journey begins, in my view. And that's what I've seen in different organizations I've worked, where there has been a different level of maturity as far as the culture onboarding and you can say anchoring is concerned.
So absolutely, this is a process. It takes time. There's a transformation process basically, and the top leadership that needs to embody the value. That just the lip talk, it is not going to work. Seema, what have you faced the challenges generally when it comes to the cultural transformation?
See, before I answer that, I want to also highlight one point. When we tell our employees that, okay, you are technically or at par, you're all fabulous in your technical know-how, skill sets, competencies, capability, whatever. But how do we differentiate between the two is through the behavior, right? Behavior is the differentiator, key differentiator when it comes to taking some kind of career progression related decision making and all. So similarly, any organization, technically in their own workspace, they may be the best. But what is the key differentiator is the culture between the two organizations. So this is how I look at that. And you asked me what kind of challenges we face. See, as an HR professionals, sometimes we are called culture custodian, culture champions. And then I agree with Sanjeev that this is not only HR, we are a facilitator. We are one of the pieces in a big puzzle, right? We are not driving that all by ourselves. At the same time, a lot of challenges come when there is a difference of opinion, there is a different style of leadership style, how a manager or a leader treating the team member, what kind of, disconnects they have on some deliverables, on KPIs, performance, etc. So I think these are all, again, I would say, we are equipped, and that's where our role comes in, right? So more as a challenge, I look at as an opportunity to work on the culture and create that positive work culture in the organization.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, the trust, respect is all the things definitely are very important. In last 2-3 years, we have seen also the flexibility, well-being, the work-life balance. That the mindset people right now they have. And how do you see these things are adding value into the positive work culture?
I think work-life balance is like a cliche now. I mean, we've been talking over the years about this. Then different version came that no, it is not work-life balance. It is more work-life integration. So whatever you may call it, right? At the end of the day, it is a balance. And then somewhere we also talk about balance quotient. Maybe in a separate discussion, we'll touch upon balance quotient. So what does any employee need? Employee needs that trust, that, of course, good, respect, I would say, recognition. And then at the same time, employee also needs space. And this is, I think more prominent after post-pandemic, where people have realized that they need to also equally contribute towards their personal goals, their family goals, So, and more so with the millennials. Now, I have a young daughter, and she says, I want to join an organization which pays me the highest. No, which pays me well is fine, but I need my time, my space. If we say 9 to 5, I want to be home by maximum by 6. I don't want to slog till 8 till 9 like our generation, where we just pick up each call, we have to respond, and that is expected out of us. So I think going forward, especially with the millennial Gen Z and the new work culture is going to be more hybrid, which will be focusing on work-life balance. And it is very, very important. And any positive work culture has this work-life balance as one of the elements in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dr. Sanjeev, what is your take on this?
No, I think Seema very aptly put it that the way now the generation is, I will say, expecting or demanding, I will say, in terms of having a very clear-cut thought that work is part of life. Work is not life. As simple as that. So they have a very clear-cut, you can say, idea about what they need to do after work hours. And I think this is also one of the, I will say, dynamics which is going to impact the way overall thinking around positive work culture will going to happen. This is becoming now a compelling force for the HR or the senior leadership to, you can say, customize their policies, customize their working hours, customize their various initiatives which will give opportunity for the employees to remain engaged beyond working hours with something which they feel very excited about, passionate about. So a lot of avenues are nowadays organization is providing. Okay, you are very passionate about, for example, literature. You are very passionate about dance, singing, sports, and that's where they are providing those avenues and opportunities and various kind of I will say initiatives by which employee feel yes, the organization is not seeing them as a cog in the wheel or just what you call one set of you can say hand, legs, and brain, but they are also seeing that yes, the this particular talent will give us more if we help them to uh, grow wholesomely through beyond working hours engagements. And I think that's where I will say the entire emphasis is coming. And that's what I also call cultural intelligence by the leader. How proactively you are sensing and anticipating the various, you can say, needs and passion of your talent and creating all those avenues and opportunity by which you wholesomely groom and develop the talent so that not only he remain or she remains productive to yourself or your organization, but also have a very longevity in terms of not looking for some alternatives because you are providing everything at one place.
So that's where we call it like feedback culture as well, empower the employees and providing the more growth opportunities, career development. So these are also some elements of the positive work culture. I think we have discussed. I think all the important aspects of the positive work culture. Anything, Simaji, you think which is important and we did not cover here, would like to share?
No, I think on the positive portion, we covered almost all. It's just that we have a long way to go before we actually come up with positive quotient, high positive quotient amongst employees, amongst leaders, right? And I think there's a lot of work has been started already. I know some organization, the kind of initiatives they are taking. In fact, in my immediate previous organization, Mahindra and Mahindra, we have done a lot of work on the employee well-being, including creating positive work environment through various initiatives. So a long way to go, Ramesh, but I think we have started, I would say. And with these kind of thought-provoking ideas and idea exchange, I think we can learn from each other and adapt.
And Dr. Sanjeev, any of your final comments?
No, I think we covered the key elements of work culture, and then positive work culture, and then wholesome work culture. I will say, I will go beyond positive and say wholesome work culture, which is basically giving a sense of fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, why somebody comes to a workplace is just not for the, as I said, monetary, you can say, thing, but he or she has some of the aspiration getting met in that particular workplace where he or she is spending 9 to 10 hours. Now, the way the management or the leadership think that culture is not about what is in those four walls. Culture is beyond those four walls. So, how you develop your talent and people as your cultural ambassadors, how you create that kind of, I will say, as I was referring earlier, also cultural intelligence among your talent, that they also network beyond your workplace and create some kind of a community, which basically then kind of bring a lot of, I will say, excitement and alignment among that community, that, okay, this particular enterprise is the enterprise where the focus is all about wholesomeness. Focus is all about not only ensuring that their professional talent is being utilized, but also their personal talent is also being groomed and utilized. And I'm talking about not a utopia, but I think this is something which is happening and which is going to further expand with more young gen and millennials taking up leadership roles. And they will also empathize and sensitize about the significance of culture over strategy, culture over all kind of, I will say, esoteric business plans.
So we're talking about culture eats strategy for the breakfast kind of food. Okay. So,
Absolutely, all three meals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Right. So thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev and Seema ji, for joining the conversation and sharing your wonderful thoughts on positive work culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ramesh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seema, and thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.
It
Thank
was a
you.
pleasure sharing.